How's it going, everyone? This is Chuck, and you're watching the ITXP, episode 8.1, my WGU MBA experience. So for those of you that have been following the program for quite some time, over the past year, I've been talking about my progression through professional development, through personal development. And in 2021, I decided to pursue a graduate degree. I actually started to contemplate a graduate degree as soon as I finished my bachelor's in May of 2020. It was something that I just felt like I needed to continue, because once you start going down a path of progress, you want to continue that progress, right? Always keep moving, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's in your professional life, whether it's in your health, whatever. Obviously, I'm still working on my health, but I wanted to keep progressing, and I was looking for programs that didn't need to take up my time in terms of physical presence or attentiveness at specific periods throughout the day. Hear me out. SNHU, you had to participate by Thursday. Your due date was on Sunday. Participate Thursday, due date on Sunday. So there were prescribed times that you had to do things. Brick and mortar school, you have an hour and a half to 2 hour lecture every week. You have to submit something by any specific point of time, due date, right? Those are prescribed terms or schedules for you to complete something. That really didn't sit well with me, because I've been to brick and mortar. It didn't work out with me. I lose my focus very, very quickly because, one, sometimes the professors are crap. They're crap. And to sit through a lecture and you're just like falling asleep. Granted, I was younger. I didn't have the knowledge that I do today, but that was just, it didn't sit well with me. Two, the time investment to travel to the school. That is an investment on your time. That time that you could be doing something else, like recording a podcast or a show like this. And three, the overall cost to attend one of those schools is astronomical. So as you progress from brick and mortar to online, something like Maryland University College, SNHU, a few of those other online schools, they always have that same formula. University of Phoenix, you book, you have your due date, you have to participate by Thursday, Sunday, your due dates, or you may have to attend a webinar on Thursday, like a live Zoom session on Thursday or whatever, or WebEx, whatever it may be, Thursday and Sunday. It's really prescribed, right? It's a prescription. So then I started looking at WGU, and everybody gives flack at WGU. It's not a real school. And for me, that was not an issue. As long as they were accredited, then I'm fine with it. It's not something that's going to take my career to the next level, because I'm the master of my own destiny when it comes to my career. A piece of paper, whether it be physical or digital, is not going to dictate how I move my career forward. That is really on me. And I'm saying this because I've been able to progress without degrees in the technology world. And you're seeing this time and time again from other influencers, from random people on the internet, whether it be TikTok, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram. There are people telling you that you can actually get into tech without a degree. And we're seeing that. And now the new thing is Web3. So if you're a high school student and you're like, oh my God, you have your MBA or blah, 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 you really don't know how hard it is, Chuck. No. It's easy. You just need to have that drive and motivation to do it. When I started out, there was no information that you can get. There was, but you had to pay for it. And for some of us who didn't have the means or the funds to pay for things, we became creative in how we obtained that information. I'm not going to incriminate myself, but let's just say we became very resourceful and how we got that information. And that's the key, resourcefulness. And that actually has helped me in my career, being resourceful. I always joke around, and even to this day, last week there was a team meeting. We're introducing ourselves to a new group of folks that joined our team. Again, reorganization, new group of people kind of working with each other. Who are you, Chuck? Well, I'm the guy that does X, Y, and Z. I'm essentially the guy that does what nobody else wants to, because I'm resourceful. I find ways to do things without asking for more money, without asking for more people. I just do it. And has that been a detriment in my career? Possibly, because it doesn't show management that I can delegate or whatever. But again, I'm the master of my own destiny when it comes to my professional development. When it comes to my personal development, same thing. Don't let this dissuade you from seeking a advanced degree, thinking you can't do it, but also don't let it fool you that it's going to elevate your life in this drastic manner. At the end of the day, it's you that drives your career forward. It's you that drives your personal development forward. This was something I wanted to do because I had already completed my bachelor's, which took me 25 years to complete. I was supposed to graduate in 98. I graduated in 2002, so what is that, 22 years, some shit like that? But it was something that I wanted to do. Right? So I started looking at WGU, and everybody gives it flack. It's not a real school because it doesn't fit this prescribed method. So I started digging into it. I said, hey, what does this school offer that others don't? And I was trying to figure out what this whole competency-based, program was all about, because it was something that, and as I'm looking at the other screen to pick something up from Reddit, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes, but it was something that was new to me, and it was interesting, and it said, well, what is this all about? I understand this competency thing, and I understand what competency is, but what does it mean in terms of a university or a degree? And I just don't know. So then I came across this article on Reddit. Let me pull this up here. I'm going to switch my screen here in 2 seconds. That really sealed the deal for me. It solidified the reason why I should pursue a degree at WGU. And I'm gonna put a caveat in here. The person that wrote this had a specific goal in mind, understanding the whole competency-based learning, meaning you have prior knowledge of certain topics within the degree program that you may be able to accelerate the course, or the degree program, I should say. So I'm going to bring up this Reddit article, and as I move over to my... All right, so I had a little bit of technical difficulties with the OBS suite. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to show you the transition to the transition to the Reddit article, right? But what I wanted to first show you here is that I did graduate. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass. I'm not trying to kind of paint this picture as like, oh, look, my life is perfect now, blah, blah, blah. But I did want to be as transparent as possible and show you that, yes, I graduated. Up here is the actual banner for it says, congratulations, my full name. I'm not going to show you that because it doesn't matter what my full name is, right? It's whatever. It's the internet. But I am showing you that I did graduate. It's showing you the little confetti here and whatnot. But what I wanted to show you was the Reddit article that really sealed the deal for me. And it was from this Redditor, Sleck 2010, wrote it 2 years ago. And it was a mega thread. And it says, this is a guide on how I did my MBA at WGU in 19 days. And having gone through the program, I don't think I would ever have been able to do it in 19 days. Because for me, it wasn't about just churning through the program. It was about actually absorbing some of the new materials that I had not learned before. It is about really taking a moment to reflect on some of the things that I'm learning and how it pertains to either my current job or how it pertains to my future career goals and aspirations. Because for me, yes, this could elevate my career, but I would have to take the next step to elevate it. And maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I'm leveraging this to branch off on my own. I don't know yet. I'm still planning out a course for myself that makes sense for me and my family. If you're younger, you probably have more opportunities or more ability to take risk. I have to calculate my risks, my taking of risks, so that way if I fail, my whole family doesn't fail with me. So a little bit difference in terms of your personal liabilities when you're contemplating this. So this was the Reddit thread that really sealed the deal. And I reached out to this person. I said, hey, thank you for this. This was really great and insightful. They provide everything that you need to know around each of the courses. But before you even go there, they give you 3 kind of commandments or rules that you should follow as you go through the course. And I'm going to show you some of those papers to kind of really show you what it looks like when you're writing this and what this means. So before we get into that, before we get into the rules, and you can see them here, each course has a rubric that you must follow. And if you don't know what a rubric is, it's essentially a list of criteria that you must meet in order to pass that course. I can't show you the rubric because I never took a screenshot of it. There's some, non-disclosure things that you fill out and stuff like that, but, whatever, right? But everybody should have seen a rubric. If you're getting to the master's level, you should have seen a rubric at some point or another in your schoolwork, right? Syllabus, whatever. Syllabus is kind of the outline of the course, but the rubric are the criteria that you must meet to pass the course. And it's typically, not competent, approaching competency, competent. That's it. That's essentially what it is. And there's no like, oh, you're a superstar. It's just really not competent, not competent, approaching competency, or competent. That's it. And you get a bunch of different ones as I go through the examples I'll show you. But anyway, a course will either have a paper or performance assessment or an objective assessment, right? Which is a test, or a course will have both. You'll have to do a paper and a test. And I'll show you that in the other screen when I show you the program outline. But anyway, the first commandment is follow the rubric. Follow the rubric. That's the first and only command you should really ingrain in your head if you want to go through the WGU Master's course. Follow the rubric. Read what the rubric is asking for and write to it. Write to the rubric. Don't try to divert because you think you're an English master. You write these eloquent papers. Write to the rubric. And before I go forward, one thing that I did not like about WGU, for those of you that have been following me for a while, you recall that I used to be a pre-med major back in the day, 1994 through 97. Pre-med. Very science-based thinking and learning. My mindset has always been more of the analytical end and the science end, right? I haven't been kind of this artsy-fartsy type person until I had my children, to be honest with you. They really helped bring out that creativeness out of me. It was kind of in there, but it was buried long ago because, blue collar family, first generation American, you're supposed to work. You can't be fruity and have this creativity among you. I wanted to go to California when I was 12 years old to work in the video game industry. My mom laughed at me because it's not a job. Right? That's not a job. This was the 80s. That's not a job. But look, So anyway, when I came to WGU, one of the things that really left a bad taste in my mouth, I should say, is that the papers that you write, from my perspective, your mileage may vary, the papers that I write really didn't adhere to what I expected a master's level paper should be. A paper that would get published in some sort of journal. But that's neither here nor there. This is a business degree. I see why it's done this way. I don't know if their science degrees are done in a similar fashion. It was just something that sat in the back of my mind. It's like, and it really goes around this rubric thing, because when you're writing a paper, typically you kind of have a logical flow to the paper. Even when you're writing a research paper, right? This really doesn't fit well into that concept. I've tried, and I've had papers kicked back to me because I didn't write to the rubric. So keep that in the back of your mind. This is a business degree. If you're coming from the sciences and whatever, this is a business degree, so things are going to be a lot different than what you're used to in terms of research papers and things like that. So keep that in the back of your mind. But I think it's a worthwhile degree. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a worthwhile degree. So follow the rubric, write to the rubric. You're going to hear that time and time again. Write to the rubric. Exams, objective assessments. I'm a horrible test taker. I have trouble passing certification exams. It's just me. If you've listened to my CISSP journey, you'll see I'm not a good test taker. But don't overthink the tests. Do the pre-assessments. The pre-assessments are essentially the practice exam. And sometimes it doesn't really translate well to the real exam. There are a lot of Quizlets out there that you can use, but be careful because there's a lot of crap out there as well. I'm going to recommend that you join the Facebook group. Even if you don't have Facebook, create an account and join the Facebook group for the WGA MBA program. And then there's a Facebook group for the capstone. I'll get to that later. But join the Facebook group. Caveat with the Facebook group. There are a lot of whiny people on the Facebook group. A lot of complainers. It's sometimes so much so that I was like, why the hell did I ever join this Facebook group? And that's a common theme throughout all of WGU's community, except the Reddit ones, for whatever reason. A lot of whiny people. A lot of, oh my God, I can't. Read through all that. Read past all that, right? Don't focus on that. And search for resources that have helped other people. There are people who have taken really good notes, and I've grabbed those notes and has helped me pass some of the more challenging courses. So I'm going to recommend going through Facebook. I don't know why Reddit doesn't have a bigger community, especially when a lot of folks are in their 30s, early 40s. There are some older folks, but I don't know, Facebook. I think some Redditors are trying to get this community going more and more, but Facebook, unfortunately, is still the primary platform for a lot of these groups within the WGA community, whether WGA MBA and the other things. The third commandment is really, if you get something that comes back to you, that gets kicked back to you. And I've had this a few times now. Read the notes that the assessor provides and ask your instructor, the course instructor, for feedback as well. In my experience, I found that the course instructor will actually tell you or translate what the evaluator or the assessor is saying, right? In 2 instances of mine, I actually had to add one word to the paper in order for it to get back. Or I had to omit 2 sentences in the paper in order for it to pass. Because in my data analytics course, which took me a month and a half, after speaking with the course instructor 3 times, literally the last time she was like, "Hey, dummy," she didn't say this, but in my mind, this is what I heard. "Hey, dummy, read what the evaluator is telling you and fix it." She's like, "This paragraph, you're doing X, Y, and Z. Read what the evaluator is telling you." So read what the evaluator is telling you. If you fail an exam, don't beat yourself up for it. You get an assessment, an evaluation of your areas of weaknesses and where you got to go. Spend some time studying that and take the exam again. Plain and simple. Don't dwell on it. This is really an exercise in futility because it's just you and the program. That's not really true, but the meat and potatoes is it's you and the program. You are up against yourself. And it's plain and simple. WGU gives all the resources for you in one cost, gives you access to all the course instructors for every course, has a program mentor that will reach out to you once a week if they're good. If they're good, because I've heard some stories about bad program mentors, but you can switch them. Reach out to you at least once a week, if not once every other week, depending on what your schedule is. And they want you to succeed. Because think about it, if you don't succeed, they don't hit their targets. This is a business. Yeah, it's not for profit, but it's still a business. They have to be measured on some sort of objective. And you're their objective, to get you to pass the degree, to pass the course. So there's a bunch of resources out there for you that you have access to all in one program. So it's you against you. The only way you're not going to be able to succeed in this is if you don't want to do it. And as I go through the courses, I'll outline you why it took me 6 months and a week to pass the course, to pass the program. And that's what really these 3 commandments are. Follow the rubric, read what the rubric wants you to write, and write to it. Again, that's you comprehending what the rubric is saying. The exams, study for them, do the pre-assessment, look what you have to study for, and study for them. Use the resources that are available. If there's not enough resources within the program, go outside of the program. Go to the Facebook. Excuse me. I'm going to have some water here. Go to Facebook and use the resources that are there from people that have done it already. The last one, if you get something kicked back to you from a paper, ask questions from the course instructor. Ask questions from the Facebook groups and update it. Don't dwell on it. Just, okay, I got to do it. Boom. You fail a test. What do I have to study for? All right, let me not dwell on it. Let me do another day of studying and I'll take it a day later. That's what they're telling you, right? Don't dwell on the negativity that you will see in those Facebook groups because it's really just you against the course, against the program. Set your goals, define your goals. You're going to have to define your goals in the orientation program. Define your goals and stick to them. And you'll see what happens when you don't stick to them. But define your goals. All right? The course is outlined in a few different things. I did the MBA IT management, so there are a few things that may not be relevant in this thread for the IT management. I think it's like 1 or 2 courses that are not here. But for the most part, you have your orientation, you have your managing organizations and leading people, managing human capital, communication, I don't think I did, Ethical leadership I did. Data decision, whatever, making is good. Global economics, yes, everybody complains about this. Marketing is the easiest course in the world. I did it in one day. And I'll talk through that some more. I did it in I did it in less than 16 hours. All right. Accounting, challenging. Financial management, challenging. I didn't have to do ops management. MBA capstone, fun. MBA capstone, fun. Definitely fun. A lot of work, but it's a simulation. I'll get that in a little bit. All right. So, with that, let's go to my program. And I took a screenshot of it before it went away. And you'll see I had from June 1st of 2021 through November 30th of 2021 to complete this program. The first course is orientation. You do that before the program starts. It's just, hey, this is WGU. Welcome. This is how you navigate some of the courses, blah, blah, blah. This and that. And that was, I did that 2 weeks before the start date. So as June 1st comes along, I decide to start the program. I'm ready to go. I'm like, yes, I'm motivated. I'm going to do this. So I get managing organizations and leading people. It's a paper. I got this. I could write papers. If you have problems writing papers, Perdue's online, it's Perdue Owl. Let me bring that up again. I didn't have it. So if you do Perdue Owl, there are a lot of other things here that are available, but the Perdue Writing Lab or Online Writing Lab, it's a lifesaver. I've been using this for years. 4 years. It tells you on how to graduate writing. Writing is it tells you everything that you need to know in terms of being able to write. It gives you different templates on the APA guide. You're gonna write your papers in the APA guide format, right? So just do this. It's pretty straightforward. 1-inch margins, Times New Roman, 12.2. There's dust. 2 double-spaced lines, not 2 double-spaced, but double-spaced lines, references page, in-text citing, all in here. Just all in here. I love the Perdue Online Writing Lab. It's been there for me for, I think a decade or more now at this point. Because remember, I've been going to school even though I dropped out in 97, I went back in 2002 to University of Maryland, and I dropped out, and then I went back I've been going to school for a long time. And I even use this with my wife because she's going for her master's too. So Perdue Online Writing Lab. If I remember, I'll put these links in the notes. But it's here. Perdue Online Writing. A lot of stuff I'm telling you, people probably know already. They probably know already. I don't know. If they don't, I'm telling you. It's all searchable. There's thousands and thousands of resources that you could use for this stuff. But if you have problems writing papers, don't worry. Okay? Don't worry. Write to the rubric. I'm going to show you what that means. So you'll see it took me about 8 days to complete this course. And that was because I was slow rolling it. I was reading everything. There were 2 tasks in here. So a lot of the courses, right? And I'll show you if you could see this. Have tasks. So the way I do things is I break things up. I break them out into courses, into folders, just so I can keep all my resources together and things like that. So task 1, task 2. So task 1, you essentially have to do a leadership evaluation of yourself. And what I wound up doing was, let's see if I could zoom in on this. So you see how I now the structure's all off here because I think this came from, or maybe I'm viewing this incorrectly. Let me see if I can view this a little bit better. Oh, yeah, read mode. There we go. Let me see if I could do one page here. I gotta figure this out. But anyway, let me see. Let me move this over here so that way. There we go. Look, I haven't done this in forever, so just give me a minute. All right. So when I talk about write to the rubric will be broken out into different sections. Section A, Section A1, B, B1, B2, B3. So what I read in some of the other posts, whether it be on Reddit or Facebook, is format your table of contents in the structure of the rubric. And that will help you write your paper. Because all you're doing is, what does a rubric want me to do? Oh, boom. And you'll see that as I progress through some of these courses, you'll see that the table of contents will be exactly the rubric. It's just be boom, damn, boom, bam. This one I was getting a little bit fancier because, hey, this is my first paper in the master's program. I want it to be cool and this and that. But no, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're looking for the content to actually meet the competency that you're trying to hit. So this one is really leadership evaluation. You have to develop your leadership. You have to take this assessment of yourself and leadership. What kind of leader are you? Your evaluation, your strengths, your weaknesses, and things like that. So this was about 12 pages with the table of contents and things like that. Pretty straightforward. That took me 8 days. And that actually probably took me 7 days, but maybe a day for it to be evaluated and completed. 2 tasks. So paper 1 was that leadership evaluation, and then paper 2 was further evaluation on leadership practices and SWOT analysis and things like that. So, all right. But as you can tell, again, this was the rubric. A1, leadership practices. A2, organization. This is where I came up with the table of contents, just from the rubric. All right. So, managing organizations and leading people, more around your leadership abilities, really self-evaluating your capacity. It gives you the ability to create smart goals and setting deadlines around that. Now, this course, if you structure and you organize yourself the way that makes sense to you and you keep things, now all this stuff is in my Google Drive, you'll have to use it for your capstone. So keep that in mind. The other course after managing organization, leading people, again, that course C200, pretty straightforward. It's really a self-evaluation, self-assessment. Shouldn't be too difficult. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. All right? Do not overthink it. One thing I'm going to caution you on, if you have not been to school in some time, say you got your bachelor's in the 90s or 80s, and you're like, oh, I want to get to my MBA or whatever. There are a lot of websites out there that you can just download papers and copy and paste. You could do that. But WGU has that, I forgot the name of it, turn it in type thing where it assesses your, evaluates your paper for plagiarism, not calligraphy, plagiarism. So you'll see as I get to one of the other courses where I was actually flagged as having high of an occurrence for a paper, and I got the course instructor reaching out to me and the program mentor reaching out to me saying, what gives? And it turns out I had uploaded the wrong paper. It was my paper from the previous task, which is why it had a high amount of relevancy to other papers because it was my own. And even if it's your own, it still flags it, right? Because it's just a computer. It's just, hey, you have too many things going on here. So just be careful with how you do these things. All right. If you're that type of person that you want to take somebody else's paper, and that's on you. Really, that's on you. I can't tell you not to do that, but just know that the analysis engine on that Turnitin type thing, and where it looks through it looks through everything, right? And it looks actually at those sites where papers are turned in on. So just be careful. I think Course Hero, Homework Hero, or Course Hero, some shit like that that kids are doing nowadays. Just be careful, all right? Because like I said, the analysis is really good, and I got calls, and I got emails saying, "What's going on, man?" It's like I was like, "Oh, this is what happened. I uploaded the wrong thing. It was my own paper, but it was not for the right course. So relax." And so, but anyway, managing organizations, leading people, 2 papers, about 10 pages each, 12 pages. It can be done. And mind you, I had a full-time job. I have a full-time job. And I did this with a full-time job. Whether I block an hour a day, 2 hours a day during my job, whether you can do that or not, I can. Fortunately for me, I had the luxury of doing that. I don't have it now, but this is the pandemic, blah, blah, blah. All right? So managing organization, leading people. Pretty straightforward. This is one that, God, kicked my ass because it was just so time-consuming and not one that everybody takes. IT project management. I hated this class. I hated this class with a passion. There are 3 tasks. Are there 3? I'm looking at this thing. Yeah, I think there are 3 or 4 tasks that, oh my God, just kill me. Just kill me. I don't even know where some of this shit is anymore because I did not. I don't even have all the papers in here. I just have the 3rd one. Why don't I have whatever? There are 3 tasks. The first task was essentially you get case study. And let me pull up one of the case studies. So for task 1, you have to write a project proposal. And you get, 5 different case studies to look through. And you had to read through all this and come up with a proposal on how to implement new technology solutions for this company. That was task 1. That wasn't so bad. That was all right. I was like, because that's fun. I was like, oh, you're now actually getting into the meat and potatoes of what an executive tends to do in an IT organization or a technology organization. And even outside of technology, you work for an organization in the sales division or the operations division, whatever. You're going to have to write up proposals based on different scenarios. What more can I say? You have 5 different case studies to look through, read them, and pick one and write a project proposal for it. So if I finish this on 6/9, right, I started right away on IT project management. So you'll see it took me about 2 weeks to do this. A little bit time consuming. And that's why when you go back to the other person and say they did it in 19 days, it just blows my mind how they could do it. But anyway, IT project management, you get case study, task 1, do the project proposal. Task 2, I don't even fucking remember anymore. And excuse my language because it's just, I hated this. I think task 2, and for some reason, I don't have it on here, but I think task 2, you had to do a workbook schedule. Yeah. Task 2, you had to do a workbook schedule for your project. It's time consuming. I don't even know why I don't have it. I must not have downloaded it, or it may be on my other laptop. I built my own workstation, so it may not be here. But anyway, you had to write a workbook schedule on different use cases. Not the first use case. Your second use case, you had to write a workbook schedule based on that. And then your third task was putting it all together and writing a whole project charter. Oh my God, it was such a nightmare. And I don't know why I don't have it here. Huh? That's odd. If I have it somewhere, I'll post it. But yeah, you had to put Gantt charts together. Oh, and don't think you need Microsoft Project. They'll give you a tool to use, Project Calibre, some shit like that. So you'll get the tools to be able to do what you need to do to install on your machine. So just keep that in mind. And again, for those that are using Chromebooks and things like that, stick with Windows or Mac. Windows because it's cheaper, but yeah. IT project management was very, very time consuming. This course, along with data driven and financial management, probably the courses that took the longest for me. And even though I did this in 2 weeks, it's just time consuming. IT project management is time consuming. If you're very, very diligent in your work and putting schedules together and things like that, you may find this a little bit easier. I hate project management. I understand the need for it, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a project manager. They tried making me project managers in my different organizations over the years, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I could lead the project manager, right? Ensure they understand what they need to do. And even now, today, there's some project managers I'm like, you're really a project manager? Because you have shit that you're missing from like the project charters, the vision document, and all that stuff. But if you're good at this, then yeah, you can do this probably fairly quickly, I should say. Managing human capital is a test. It took me about a week, to weekend and a half to kind of study for it. And look, we're getting down to the summer months. 4th of July was in here as well. So I probably put this off longer than I should have, but it's really HR. Human capital is just all HR stuff. There's not much to I don't have anything to show for it because it's just studying. There's Quizlets out there that you can do. There's the Facebook groups that you can grab information from. Take the pre-assessment, see what you need to study up on, and do it. There are probably some laws that you have to remember. Nothing really major. It's HR. If you're if you're like me, HR is a joke. And I'm sorry if you're in HR, but I just feel like there are good intentions of why HR is around, but I just don't think it has achieved its original intent. It's now kind of morphed into this whole idea of what it should be and what companies should be doing. It's really it's taken a lot of resources away from the organization, in my opinion, that could be used to ensuring the organization makes money. Because what's the purpose of a corporation? To make money. That's my feeling on that. Accounting for decision makers. I've talked about this before I went on YouTube last year. It's accounting. Left side, right side, they have to balance out. Accounting. I know I simplified it a lot, but it's really what you have on your left side has to match what you have on the right side, or else you're going to have some problems. And it's really accounting. It goes into the accounting principles. And this took me, again, because I don't test well. It took me a little bit longer than I needed. But anyway, accounting for decision makers, a test. Marketing. This was the best course I took in all of WGU marketing. Chuck, does that say... Oop, wrong one. Does that say 18 pages? Yes, it does. It does say 18 pages, YouTube watcher. It says 18 pages. Holy shit. Are you serious? Yeah. This took me one day. I took a day off. And it took me one day because this was something that I was really intent on doing well. You had to develop 2 new products or services that you were going to introduce into a global market. What did I do? I picked something that I love, watching movies in a movie theater, virtual reality or augmented reality, and cryptocurrency. Boom. So I created an augmented reality experience in AMC, and I created the AMC coin. And AMC is now taking Doge. Dude, this was back in when did I write this? August 24th. I wrote this. I don't know, but yeah, this was a fun course. This allowed me to be creative. I really think that really good marketers, in the corporate sense, in the social media sense, or whatever, are creative folks. And this really allowed me to touch and to kind of reach deep down inside and be really creative. There are some marketing concepts that I didn't read the course content to this at all. Well, I should say I didn't read it before writing the paper. Let me put it that way, because I did this in one day. If you look back here, marketing 824, right? Even though it says accounting for decision makers was started on 720, ended on 725. I probably took a month off because I started with financial management right after accounting for decision makers. And because financial management was taking me some time, towards the tail end of August, I said, I'm going to do marketing because I need to get away from financial management. So you'll see marketing actually ended August 24th, but I actually started financial management right after accounting in September. And by a month in, I was like, I got to take a break from financial management. All right, I'll talk about this in a minute. But marketing, really fun. I did not read the content beforehand. What I did was I took the rubric, I laid out my table of contents, and you can see 18 pages with the reference page on the table of contents and the title page, right? So 15 pages altogether without all that fluff. And I looked through the resources that were given to me in things that I didn't understand, like competitive advantage or major pricing strategy. That was one I had to look up, and I didn't understand. I had to read it a couple of times. But I took a day off from work to do this. And it was fun. I looked at AMC. You have to use a company, real or fictional, and just go through it. I read their financial statements for 2020, and I used Dubai as my target country that I would introduce these services to. Why did I use Dubai? Well, Dubai is on the leading edge of technological innovation, and they have the money to purchase these services. These are luxury services. So Dubai was a no-brainer for me. And you may be like, Chuck, how the hell do you know all this? I keep up with current events, right? Back in that day, AMC was pumping the stock market, right? The stock of AMC was pumping. So it just made sense for me to continue down that path, something that I was closely following in the real world, and something that I had to look for. I had to look at the competitor prices of movie theaters in Dubai and set my own price, right? So this was actually a really fun course for me. I really enjoyed it, and if I had a little bit more motivation, I probably would take what I learned here and grow my YouTube channel a little bit more. But again, I'm really just doing this YouTube channel as a brain dump for future generations. Um, I I've learned so much from folks over the course of my time on this planet that, and going back to what I said earlier, where it was a lot more challenging for those of us that didn't have degrees early in the technology transformation, where we had to be more resourceful. This is my way of giving back because I was able to acquire some of that knowledge without paying for it. So this is my way of giving back because I learned so much from those before me for free. And I don't ever intend on, monetizing this or whatever. This is really just a brain dump for whoever wants to listen to this. Even my children. I don't even know if they're even going to listen to this, but whatever. But I think the way that I want to give back is just brain dump. Brain dump, brain dump, brain dump. The only thing I will say is if somebody down the road wants to spend time with me to kind of ask more questions, maybe I'll have to put some monetary value on there because, again, it's time. It's time at that point. But this is always meant for brain dump. That's why it's not fancy. That's why you don't see flashing lights or things like that, because that's not what I'm here for. I've always felt that I need to give back, and this is my way of giving back. I only have 100 and some odd episodes on my podcast. This is my second YouTube video. And it's not great, but whatever. It's just content that I'm providing to give back to the community that allowed me to be who I am today. But anyway, marketing is great. Financial management was one that I started right after accounting for decision makers, and that thing kicked my ass. Now, financial management is, think of the CFO in your organization. Whatever they do, that's what this course is all about. So preparing financial statements for the board, learning all that stuff in a test just kicked my ass. I took that test 3 times. I passed it finally on a 3rd time. There's math involved, and here's the thing with this. After the 2nd time I failed, that's when I joined the Facebook groups. So all up until before I got to financial management, I had not joined the Facebook groups because I hate Facebook. I despise it. There's just a cesspool of hatred on Facebook. So I said, let me see what's going on with Facebook and financial management because maybe I'm not seeing something. So there's math on the financial management. There's actually math on accounting, but not too bad. They give you all the formulas, so you don't have to memorize formulas. Don't get freaked out in your mind that you have to memorize these formulas. You don't have to memorize these formulas. So accounting formulas, it'll be on the left-hand side. You'll be good to go. Don't worry about it. It's pretty straightforward. There aren't many math questions on the accounting side. And if there are, it's pretty straightforward. Whatever you do on the left side, you have to do on the right side, right? That's accounting. Financial management gets into a little bit more about your stock valuations and things like that. But here's what I'm going to tell you that I didn't learn until after I failed my 2nd time. Skip all the math questions when you go through the exam. Mark a math question, skip it. Mark a math question, skip it. Do all of the non-math questions and then go back. 9 times out of 10, that's all you'll need. You'll just need to answer maybe 1 or 2 math questions correct. As long as you answered all the other non-math questions correctly, you'll be able to pass the test. You'll be able to pass the test. It's a challenging course if you're not accustomed to financial terms. You'll have a leg up if you follow the stock market, if you do your own research and investing in the stock market. You'll have a leg up because I do. But what kicked my ass the first 2 times was I focused. So what happens with me is if I'm doing something with math and I don't get the answer that I see available to me, I just get in my head. I beat myself up. I'm like, what the hell? And time starts running out, and you kind of get rushed, and you're like, that's me. This is why I perform poorly on exams. But if you skip all the math questions in the beginning and go back to them, whatever pressure you had in the beginning should be a little bit lessened because you've already answered everything else. You're just focusing on the 6 or 7 math questions that are in there. Now, these aren't easy math questions. Even though they give you the formula, there's going to be multiple parts to that math problem, problem solving, right? Word problem, I should say. That's the word I was looking for. Excuse me. Because they'll give you a word problem. They'll say, how do you get this? But you'll have to do a couple of other equations before you can do the final equation. Does that make sense? So when you're looking through these questions, it's really about comprehending what they're asking for. I have the formulas. How do I get this? Oh, I got to do this first before I can do this because I need this in order to get this. Does that make sense? So when you're doing these math problems, remember it's not going to be as straightforward. So reading comprehension is going to be key. And that's where I kind of failed the first 2 times and why it took me, when did I finish this? September 6th. And I started in July, right after this accounting for decision maker. I started. So it was about a month and a half almost before I took this, before I was able to pass the financial management course. A good month and a half. And by that point, I was done. I was already thrown in the towel. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't know how these people did it in 19 days. This is ridiculous. What are they cheating? I honestly thought they were cheating. And October comes around, and I'm just like, I can't let this defeat me. I just can't let this defeat me. So I took a couple of weeks off, and October 1st comes around. I did not want to pay for another semester. At the time, in June of last year, it was $4,500 that I paid out of my own pocket for this program. I put it on the credit card, and I chunked down my credit card payment. Boom, 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 boom. Right? So I paid it off, by that time I already had paid it off. I did not want to pay another $4,500 for, at that point it was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 courses. I was like, hell no. So October 1st, I kind of said, you know what? I got to do this. So October 1st comes around, Global Economics for Managers. I love economics. I have a bunch of economics books back there. I'm a member of the Economics Association of America. I was like, I got this, and I passed the test. Data-driven decision making was one that I started right after financial management, and that's what kind of set me off to kind of not do this anymore. But as I passed global economics for decision makers, I passed the test for data-driven decision making. I wrote the papers. Let me show you the paper for that. What is that? C207? Do I have it? Yep. What the hell is it? Oh my God. So here, task 1, pretty straightforward. Describe a real world situation that you're going to do your data analysis for. All right. This is it. I decided to do people rely on smartphones. How much people rely on smartphones. And that was because I was seeing our company needed to develop more mobile apps because everybody's becoming more mobile, especially during a pandemic. So that was the easiest task. Task 1 was easy. Task 2 is where it was where I did my analysis, right? Of, again, you have to use the information they give you, the resources that they give you, your ANOVA test. I picked the ANOVA test, and this is some of the terms that you learn within the course, right? Now here is where I think I failed I got kicked back the first time in my recommendations, right? And this was because my ANOVA test, and this is where the course instructor was kind of smacking me around a couple of times because she was like, "Hey, dummy, read what you're saying." Right? So I said the ANOVA test obtained an F value of 1 point, which is smaller than the critical F value, and the P value is greater. With these values, they indicate that we cannot reject the null hypothesis, right? So I kept saying we can, and then down here in my recommendations, I said we don't need to develop, and I just kept confusing myself, right? So this is where you got to pay attention to what you're saying in your analysis of the data. But after, again, once I had that remotivation, I guess, of passing global economics for managers, I picked up data driven again, because again, I started it right after financial management in September. So that took me longer than it should have. But if you don't have that moment of dread and where you don't want to do things anymore, you can actually finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 7 courses in about 2 months if you kind of go on an average speed. This one, financial management, if you're not accustomed to it, will take a little bit longer. Data-driven decision-making will take a little bit longer because there's a lot of new terms for most of us if you're not working on day-to-day. So that's that. And then I went to ethical leadership. Ethical leadership was pretty cool. Again, you just needed to... there are 3 tasks. I think I had them kicked back twice, maybe, or once. I kicked back once, and then for task 2 and 3. But you have to define ethical traits. You have to do an analysis. It was about 11 pages, 10 pages, right? I picked a former CEO of a company I worked at. Talked about his leadership style, the conduct, his ethical conduct, an analysis on a dilemma that he faced. I just made it up, right? This is a publishing company, so I just talked about some real things in terms of, was it here? No, this was just evaluating the ethical lens of the leader. This one was... this is the CSR. And then the ethical dilemma. So this one was social responsibility and the ethical dilemma. So the ethical dilemma was not true in terms of the CEO, but true in terms of some things that happened at a publishing company that I used to work at. In terms of copyright in China. So I use that. Again, you can use real world scenarios. You can make stuff up, just as long as it fits into the ethical mindset here. Let's see. And then this is task 3. So three papers. I'd say about 30 pages altogether, right? Not too bad. Not too bad. Again, if you have challenges running papers, this is going to take you a little bit longer. And so that took me 8 days, right, after I finished data-driven decision-making. And here's the challenge. I had to finish my program by November 30th. I had to finish my program by November 30th because that's when the term ended for me. But what's good is WGU, if you have a close relationship with your course program mentor like I did, they will allow you to extend. Before, she said you could only extend 2 weeks or something like that, but now they do 30 days. So, but you had to do it 15 days before the term ended. As I finished ethical leadership, I told her that I'm going to have to get an extension. And that was just because there was stuff going on at work, end of the year stuff going on at work. There was stuff that I just had that was out of my control. So I needed to do it, and they approved it. So just ask, be nice, ask, do it. If you're like me and you're at the tail end of October or whatever, the tail end of your 5th month, and you have a month to go and you have 2 courses, you could complete it in the course of that month, but give yourself that extra time, because by the time I finished my capstone, it was December. Actually, I finished my capstone on my birthday, December 5th. So, anyway, IT Strategic Solutions was another paper. 4 tasks in this paper, in this class. Things that you learned early on: SWOT analysis. You had to do. I think you had case studies. You had to pick a case study, do a SWOT analysis on that case study. Just really define the strengths and opportunities, deficiencies, research strategies, blah blah. This is the second course in the program that's just focused on IT, right? So IT Strategic Solutions. That was 12 pages. Let's see what task 2 was. Task 2 was develop a communication plan for the company. I didn't even put a table of contents for this. You just put a communications plan together. You don't have to write the communications plan because you're not part of the communications department. You're just telling them what they need to put in, and also what the project stakeholders need to do. Not too bad. That was 5 pages. Again, nothing too crazy. The next one was ethical issues. Right? You had unethical, internal, security threats, external security threats. Really cybersecurity type stuff. As you go through here. That was task 3. And then task 4. The hell was task 4? Oh, your growth strategy. And your gap analysis and your project proposal, your 3-year plan. Just kind of, you're going to take a solution based on a case study and just put it all together. Pretty straightforward. If you're accustomed to doing this in your job, if you're like me, working in IT, you've done this a few times already. And just kind of really putting it towards a fictional company and getting it together. This one was the longest paper that I wrote for WGU. It's 20 pages, maybe 19, with all the fluff. But this one was one that you take existing solutions, SaaS solutions, and things like that. You tell them when you want to implement them over a course of a 3-year period. And it's just, this is kind of the real, strategic solution planning that companies do. This is what companies really do at that executive level, right? They may not get into a lot of these details because they have other folks doing it for them. But if you think about thought leadership, this is what they do, right? They kind of write out these plans. They get together in a meeting, talk about what needs to be done. So let me see if I can go back up here a little bit. So the gap analysis and the different systems that we're focusing on, right? Our payroll system. And you all may be doing this if you work in IT at this point. Do I have any meetings? I got to make sure. Nope, I'm good. You may be working in IT or whatever. This is some of the stuff at the higher level that folks go through. I've been in this level to some degree. Most of the times I'm kind of in the management's coming to me, hey, we want to do X, Y, and Z. What can we do to facilitate this, right? Type discussions. So we for this case study, we're evaluating the payroll system, the messaging system, the performance management system, the 3D engineering design systems, the customer order systems, how we integrate these systems together, data backup and recovery, and customer service management. All right, and we just find all the gaps, and we said, all right, we're going to take an upgrade of these IT infrastructures. We're going to start doing some SaaS services using Workday, Autodesk for the 3D design stuff. What else did we do? Move to Google Workspace instead of Microsoft Office 365 because I hate Microsoft at this point. Just because personal reasons, really. Salesforce.com, obviously, for their CRM stuff. Acronis for backup and recovery, although now Acronis should not be recommended because it's a Russian company. MuleSoft APIs. Anyone? APIs? So integrations to other systems, right? So, and then here's the 3-year plan. So really cool in terms of overall program structure up until this point. I really felt that the program does offer a solid foundation comparable to brick and mortar schools. Now, here's one thing you won't get in the MBA program within WGU. You're not going to get, unless you want to, unless you put effort into it, you're not going to build those relationships with your other classmates and things like that that may translate into you getting a job somewhere else. It's not the most well-known program out there, but I think from an overall competency-based curriculum, it's pretty solid. And I can't get too much into the capstone because, again, NDA, but do I have anything in the capstone? Let's see what I have here. Oh, man. I really... Gosh. I'm trying to figure out... All right. So, let me do this. The task 1 in the capstone. So the capstone is a business simulation, right? In the business simulation, you have 6 quarters to make your company money. Because again, what's the purpose of a company? Make money. But nowadays, it's also to be socially responsible. So there are things in there that you'll have to make decisions on in order to keep your employees happy, in order to keep the community happy, in order to keep the environment happy, things like that, right? So keep that in mind when you're going through this process. A lot of people just kind of tend to, work their people, pay them good money, and they kind of pass the thing. But it's really all encompassing. And at the end, you kind of get rated. And I think, let me see if I can see this. This is it. Yeah, so I got first place for my marketplace simulation, right? What else did I do here? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's see. My compensation for... So mine was Play Bikes. So 84% of my people were satisfied in terms of the compensation, right? Overall. So I felt that was, against the industry. I may have been a little bit lower. I think I was 3rd in line in terms of compensation for my production workers, compensation for production supervisors. I was more. For Salesforce, I was the highest, paying the Salesforce people more. And here's my presentation, right? So the cool thing here is my presentation. So you have to do a PowerPoint. And the PowerPoint, this is how you have to submit the PowerPoint, right? It's like 14 slides. So if you figure 2 minutes a slide, it's about half an hour, all right? So you kind of do your PowerPoint, and you put all your speaker notes in here, and this is how you have to hand it in. You have to hand it in with all your speaker notes. And then you have to record it. and they give you a tool to record it. So if I go back
Hello,
into this,
my name is Charles Betancourt. I'm the proud owner of Play Bikes.
Here we go.
Play Bikes is a startup focused on building 3D printed balls made from carbon fiber. I can answer for this. We've been able to secure 24% of the overall market share in our industry.
I kind of put
this
a
was
fake
also
background
supported
in
by
there
the
and
increase in our advertising budget and internet marketing expenses
that we did.
As a new company entering a competitive industry,
and things like that.
So failed to market.
This is essentially, if you think about Shark Tank, this is essentially Shark Tank. That's essentially what it is. You're pitching your company to get funded, I think another $5 million or something like that. That's your first task. And most people freak out about this. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was something that I felt was beneficial and really helped me to further develop my storytelling ability to the board, to potential investors, to venture capitalists. Excuse me. And it's one of the things that you need to understand when you progress in your career. The better you get at being able to tell a story, the better you'll see results in terms of what you want to accomplish. So that task, that 30-minute task, now some folks said they did it 12 minutes. Again, whatever you read on Facebook, just take with a grain of salt. But that task was one that I thoroughly enjoyed. Being part of Toastmasters, that was a no-brainer for me. Task 2 was the stockholder report. Again, going back to financial management. Right? You showed the balanced scorecard as part of the simulation. You print that out. You show them. Then you write your stockholder report, your strategic thrust, the decisions to be changed, your ROI. This is all that's there. And then task 3 is essentially the career management. Competencies you developed throughout the program. Let's see here. You have to actually submit your resume, your future business career, marketing strategy, career goals. Remember I told you about SMART back in managing organizations and leading people? Just copy and paste that into this. Pretty simple. Because you did it already. No need to. You have to add your LinkedIn profile, add in any certifications you have or other degrees that you did as part of your professional career, and whatever else you took to do. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot. It takes some time to go through the simulation. And again, I can't talk through much of that simulation, but it takes time to go through that simulation to really think about what needs to be done. But all in all, apart from the academic research paper aspect of this program, I think it was really good. I think everyone can do this within a 6-month time period or 7th month if you extend it out. But it was really interesting to go through this to see where I have come up to this point with everything I've learned informally and now learning it formally. Some of the things for my capstone, I don't think I used many of the resources that they provided to me outside of the simulation. I think I watched the video on how to do the simulation, but apart from that, I don't think I used any of the resources in the simulation itself. So when I talk about the MBA program within WGU, I think for the value and the cost, I think it's well worth it. If you're looking to become a CIO, if you're looking to become a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you're going to be hard pressed to get your foot in the door in those large organizations with a WGU MBA. But again, that's really on you. Is it easier if you have a Harvard MBA? Sure, because you get noticed. But really, at the end of the day, what companies want is they want someone that will add value to the organization to make them money, to make them recognizable. And that's why I think with the core competencies that this MBA program provides you, you will learn things that you probably have not learned before. You will incorporate that into your vast knowledge of various things, and you will take that and do with it what you want. Whether you want to progress in your current career, whether you want to move on to another organization, this will help you take the next step up. But again, at the end of the day, you need to do it. You need to do it. What I'm looking at now is I'm targeting probably small to mid-sized companies to get into that higher level. Because I've been at big companies and it's hard to move up. It's hard to move up. I'm doing it, but I think if I move to a smaller company or maybe a mid-sized company, anything below 5,000 folks, actually the company I'm at is still mid-sized. We have like 15,000. So maybe small to low mid-size, anything below 5,000 I'm targeting. And coming at a senior leadership position will help me hone my skills even further than jump up again somewhere else. Because I've worked Fortune 500 companies already at various levels, right? Mid-management levels. Go down to something smaller at a senior leadership level, then come back up to maybe Fortune. I don't have much time left in my career, probably another 20 years, and go from there. So from my perspective, you see all the fuzz around here. I don't know where this fuzz is coming from. I don't know if it's my sweatshirt, but you have to have a game plan and you have to work that plan, and that's essentially what I'm doing. WGU has given me a lot more breadth in my aspirations, because hey, I was able to accomplish it. Not that I needed that validation, but it feels good. It feels good to actually accomplish something like this. Especially, I don't have any debt now for the degree. I have debt, but not the degree to pay for it because I paid it off. And I just feel like anybody can do this. I think it is well worth your time to do it. One thing I do caution is don't get into that rut that I got into, because you just get frustrated. And it's going to happen. Trust me. I don't think there's many people. I don't think there are many people out there that can not beat themselves up. You may be a strong person than I am, but if it weren't for that financial management course and the data-driven analysis course, I would have completed that in probably 5 months or 4 months, let's say. But just the fact that I was able to extend it out gave me that cushion that I needed to be motivated to move forward and get my degree. Now, what I'm going to do next, we'll see. But thanks for your time. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you soon.